to this session of the Open Science Fair, this lightning talk session. We'll have a mix of interesting presentations today, but before, let me just remember some of the housekeeping notes and rules. So we are running this session on Zoom, not Zoom webinar. But anyway, I recommend or I suggest that you can input your questions or comments during the presentations, because we will have all the presentation on the row, and then at the end of the session, hopefully we will have 5 or 10 minutes for replying to the questions, or even you can activate your microphone at the end of the session and have some live interaction at the end. But during the presentation, please use the chat to also not forget your questions and comments to the presenters. The session is being recorded, as you have noticed. It's already started to be recorded. So please ensure that your microphone is muted. And again, if you want, at the end, you can activate your microphone and ask any question or make any comment. All the presentations will be posted in the Open Science Fair website and also in Zenodo. And the recordings of this session, as all the other sessions in Open Science Fair, will be also available on the YouTube channel and Zenodo. And of course, last but not least, we strongly encourage you to use the social media and interact using the OSFAIR2021 hashtag. So please engage also on Open Science Fair in the social media space. And finally, of course, we'd like to underline that we have a code of conduct, and we expect all attendees, speakers, partners, and ourselves as members of the organization committee to adhere to those to this code of conduct during the entire event. So I think we are already reaching 40 participants. So without further ado, I think we can move on to the session. As I said, we have 6 interesting talks today from also interesting mix of subjects, from many of them related with research data management, but not only. So let me just present them, all of them, and then I will we just move from one presenter to another. So the first one will be presented by Nancy Pontika, and it is about academic research career progression, results from university promotion policies collection, and an academic survey that is also work related with the on-merit project. The second presenter, hopefully she has already arrived because I didn't check, will be by Sofia Fernandes from University of Exeter on a roadmap to collaboratively address RDM challenges. The third is again about RDM. It's from ELIXIR. It's a presentation from Pinar Alper and Carole Goble. It will be presented by Pinar Alper, putting the life science RDM support landscape in context with RDMkit. So it will be about RDMkit. The fourth will be from Gdańsk University of Technology, also a lightning talk with 2 authors that will be presented by Magdalena Szuflita-Zurawska, and I really apologize because of the bad pronunciation of your names. It's about legal issues, creating legal issues, knowledge hub for opening research data. It's about research data, but from the perspective of the legal issues around it. And the fifth one, it's about humanities, an open science voice for the humanities, a humanities voice for open science, from Erzsébet Tóth-Czifra, again sorry for the pronunciation, from DARIAH. And finally, we'll have Tom Mosterd from the DOAB and OAPEN that will talk about open access books from 0 to 100, open access books network and community-based learning. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and I will invite Nancy Pontika to start the presentation. As I said previously, I will let you know when you enter the last minute from the 7 minutes that you have for your presentation. Thank you. Nancy, can you go ahead?
Thank you very much, Eloy. I'm going to share my monitor. If you could just verify that you can see it. Now it's not on presenter mode, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm going to also stop my video because I think that my connection is not very stable right now. So I'm going to stop it for now and then I'm going to open it during the Q&A if it's possible.
Yeah, Nancy, your presentation is still not in presenter mode. It's in only, okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah, good.
Thank you. So I am going to talk today about the work that we have been doing at the European funded project, which is called On Merit. The problem that this project faces, especially in the work package that I'm working on, is that academia is often termed as a prestige economy, where gains in prestige are translated into new resources via project grants or institutional promotion. And then what this research is trying to do is to understand how open science and RRI principles and in general practices are currently valued in the reward system and in the incentive structures. Therefore, we tried to investigate two different aspects. We performed a qualitative analysis of promotion, review and tenure policy documents from academic institutions, and then we also ran an international survey targeting active researchers to gauge the attitudes and experience related to indicators and assess the researchers in promotion processes. So to start with the analysis of the PRT policy documents, we wanted to discover the most common performance indicators at the institutions and see whether the institutions support only traditional assessment indicators, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit further, or whether they promote open science and RRI indicators. So we collected from 7 different countries' policies, and we tried to reach a percentage per country that would make sense based on the total number of the institutions that were presented in the Times Higher Education World University Ranking. The policies, the policies were collected mainly via the internet, so from a Google search, and we used words that you can see in this table per language. And then when an institution would not have a policy, and then we would email the institution, we would ask for the policy. If they don't come back to us within 10 days, then we would move on to the next session. So we already had identified a set of traditional indicators, but also some of RRI and open science indicators from the MORI project. And then we would read the policies, and then we would add like a number 1 on the spreadsheet or when the policy was there, and a 0 when a policy would not appear. So from the results of this, we can see that the traditional indicators, such as service to professor, or number of publications, or impact, for example, are more popular, while alternative indicators, as you can see at the bottom of the table, such as citizen science, open access, open data, are less common. We also divided the institutions into 3 different categories, like high, middle, and low, and we did not see any differences in the ranking between the institutions. We also then performed a survey to researchers who had an active contract, and we used the core API and those who had published a paper between 2014 to 2020. We collected 240 responses, but because we were interested only in active researchers, then in the end, we ended up analyzing 200 responses only. So the survey respondents would change jobs, and then we received responses from, here. The survey respondents would change jobs, and then we received responses from a variety of countries. But we were also interested in the countries that were also included in the policy, in the PRT policies. The participants were asked to give us an opinion as to what is this that relates to their career states with regards to what they think that the institution perceives. And we can see that the three top most common answers are traditional, what we call like traditional indicators, such as publishing a large number of research articles, generating high quality publications, and generating a large number of citations. Then we also asked them what is their personal opinion with regards to the same indicators. And we can see that the top three are again traditional indicators, but also the least common, which were receiving awards and leading projects, again were traditional indicators. We also made a comparison between the institutional and personal opinions, and we see that engaging with the public mentoring PhDs and postdocs and contributing to the peer review has the biggest difference, whereas the lowest difference is on publishing in highly regarded journals or conferences, leading projects, and developing industry collaborations. So we also asked the survey participants about their engagement, and we saw that they are happy to engage with the public, a little bit in the middle with the industry, but we were surprised to see that there was such a big number of negative responses from people who wanted, like approximately 87%, who did not want to engage with policymakers. Also, it was very interesting to discover the doctoral researchers and postdocs who are still in the beginning of their careers, as you can imagine, find pretty much everything important, whereas the rest of the categories, especially associate professors and professors, do not find all these factors very important. We also learned that with regards to the open science indicators, that there are differences between personal and institutional. So what is this that the people think for themselves, but what is this that their institution perceives perceives that the indicators would count in the promotion of their own careers. So making us believe that the open science indicators are not in the institution's interest and not so much a requirement for a promotion. We also noticed, generally speaking, that the differences between men and women did not, like the answers did not make a lot of difference, but then we identified some aspects where the women were a little bit higher, probably up to 20%, and that was on mentoring PhDs and postdocs, and then on leading projects and engaging with the public. We also saw that we also asked about open science and RRI incentives. So we wanted to see what is this that would make the survey participants apply more alternative indicators. And the responses varied a lot. We are going to publish a deliverable soon and the papers further down through the year. But the top incentives per category was like receiving funding. They would require institutional support, but they would also require more time. So we are saying that the traditional indicators still dominate PRT policies, and that the survey respondents followed a similar choice of indicators. There are differences between institutional and personal opinion, but more needs to be done with regards to this. And while we see that researchers are starting to value open science and RRI components, this has not yet propagated into practice to the extent that we would expect. So our recommendation is to continue further raising awareness and credibility on the emerging open science and RRI approaches, and act on some of the identified incentives. So that is everything from me.
Thank you, Nancy. Again, if you have questions or that you want to raise to Nancy, so please write them in the chat, or otherwise you can also ask them directly at the end of the session. I think we are still missing Sofia Fernandes, so I suggest that we move on to the third presentation, and hopefully Sofia can join us at the end of this session. So I would like to invite Pinar to talk about the RDMkit.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We are seeing it on edit mode.
Yeah, should be okay now in a minute.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pinar Alper, data steward at the Luxembourgish node of ELIXIR, and I'm here today to talk to you about RDMkit, ELIXIR's data management toolkit for life science data. So in and around Europe, there are hundreds of research institutes that, as part of their research, generate large volumes of diverse life science data. And these institutes also host bioinformatics resources, databases, software tools, cloud or supercomputing platforms, trainings. Essentially, in doing their research, doing research on life science data, these institutes have developed an expertise on managing this data as well. So what ELIXIR is trying to do is to coordinate these resources so they become a single infrastructure. ELIXIR does this through interpreting resources, harmonizing standards or ways of working, pooling expertise, creating networks and platforms. ELIXIR is an intergovernmental organization of 23 nodes. And the infrastructure that we build for data management is intended to be internationally aligned, of course, scalable to the 500,000 estimated life scientists in Europe, long-term sustainable, and most importantly, it has FAIR data at its heart. So I will focus a bit more on how ELIXIR supports FAIR data. So there's first of all a very comprehensive resource layer. So ELIXIR provides FAIR services and resources such as tools, databases, registry standards, and the list goes long. And also we have these repositories, or in ELIXIR we call them deposition databases for the long-term sustainability of life science data. So that's the resource, just the resource layer. And on top of that, we have ELIXIR develops FAIR data techniques, for instance, for generating data FAIR in the first place through workflows and reproducible pipelines, or for looking at existing data, assessing its fairness, and further verifying it. So that's we develop techniques. ELIXIR has specific communities that focus on the challenges of dealing with data from a particular subdiscipline of life science or a particular community. ELIXIR also has developed FAIR expertise and training through capability frameworks and networks of data managers and a training platform. So there's constant skill building across the network. Of course, ELIXIR is involved in FAIR policy and activism with leadership and partnering at the global and European level. So there's all this support landscape, and the abundance of support can be quite overwhelming for researchers when they start their project. So as a researcher, they are responsible for coming up with a data management plan as the funder requires, writing it, and then executing it, putting in place. So the question for them is, how do I view together all of this support available to me to come up with my data management? And this is where RDMkit comes into place. It supports guidance to the landscape that we have in ELIXIR and beyond. So the main focal point there where we deliver this guidance is the RDMkit website. And it provides the information, all the information, the guidelines, with examples. The website has structures to allow, you know, easy introduction to the guidance, and one of that structures is the research data management life cycle, which is the skeleton that the researchers have to follow to write their DMPs anyway. So the RDMkit is primarily for the researchers that have to, you know, build and execute DMPs, but not just for them. It is also for us data managers and data stewards, because it complements our guidelines, national or institutional guidelines, and it connects us to the ELIXIR level. It is also a useful resource for discovering expertise in the network. So for project consortium coordinators, it is a place where you can go to find which institute or which node of ELIXIR has expertise on the management of a particular data type, or as an expert on a particular technology or a platform. For funding agencies, it is a resource to be included in their guidelines, and also a venue to highlight fair data requirements of the funder, or the open policy requirement, open science requirements of the funder. At its core, RDMkit provides these guides that are focused on very concrete research data management topics, like data protection, like data storage, like data transfer. And this guidance text then refers to tools and resources available in ELIXIR, or combination of those, how one particular institute or node has combined those tools to come up with a solution. When referring to tools, we also make sure we include registries, because ELIXIR has rich registries that describe tools and link together, or, you know, allows grouping of tools on various teams. So if you know what particular problem you need to deal with, then you can straight go to the guideline on the website. So that's one way. The other way is the website provides two entry points. If you are a beginner, let's say, and the life cycle, research data life cycle, which I already mentioned, depending on in which stage you are, then you can be exposed to just the relevant guidelines. Also, depending on your role, so you're somebody who have to deal with data management embedded in a research group, in a policy department, or an IT department, then the website will, you know, cut down the guidance that is shown to you. This is an example of a web page. So the guidance basically outlines key considerations for life science data and the solutions. And the solutions would then refer to the tools. And then, as I said, the tools list would link to registries where more information about the tools can be found. Also, for each page, we refer to training resources available.
1 minute, please.
Okay, so each page has some guidance for storage, but you can also, you may be in need of more specific tailored guidance. And for that, the page refers to ELIXIR Data Stewardship Wizard, where it has an expert system approach, which will ask you questions. Where is your country? What is the sensitivity of your data, the size of your data? And then you can get more, you know, filtered down guidance for your problem. So there are 77 pages on ELIXIR right now, developed by 96 contributors across ELIXIR Data Managers Network, and the kit is already included in Horizon Europe and European Research Council guidelines. Oops, sorry. I think I went to the link, just a minute. The website has been developed through an open and ongoing community effort. We have our contribution editorial processes documented on the website, and RDMkit is based on GitHub, and we acquire content through what we call content-a-thons, where there will be an agenda decided beforehand on the topics that we will write about, and focus group on specific RDM topics. If you are interested in contributing or have feedback on the content that already exists, you are very welcome to contact our editorial board for RDMkit. So In a sense, RDMkit is a toolkit that bridges the gap between researchers and data stewards, and really is based on the idea of pooling expertise across Elixir for the community, by the community. And because there is a new resource coming up every day, we want to be the venue where researchers can come and find out about new resources for RDM, and really is about enabling researchers themselves to increase self-sufficiency and build capacity. So I invite all of you to visit our website, which is rdmkit.elixireurope.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Pinar. So let's move on to the next presentation. Again, you can.
Sophia is already here. I'm sorry.
But okay, thank you, Paula. But it will go now to the end. Let's go to the next presentation from Magdalena Szuflita-Zurawska. Can you go ahead, please?
Okay, thank you. I will try to share my presentation, my screen. It's okay now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone once again. My name is Magdalena Szuflita-Zurawska, and I'm from Gdańsk University of Technology Library. And today, on behalf of my colleague Anna Wałek, Library Director, I would like to tell you a little bit more about our work in progress project, Legal Issues Knowledge Hub for Opening Research Data. This project is a part of our big project Bridge of Data, which was established at the end of 2018, and it's going to be finished at the end of this year. Part of this Bridge of Data project, it was also launching the Open Science Competency Center. And the Open Science Competency Center, one of its main tasks is providing training and supporting for researchers in terms of research data management, and doing all those trainings, consultations, checking data management plans, we realize that researchers, they have a lot of problems with legal issues. So what kind of barriers they forced, such as, of course, intellectual property rights, copyrights in data. Researchers very often are uncertain around data ownerships. They still have problems with data licensing, data reuse, and of course with a lot of ethical issues and controlling access to data. Some of those issues, they were like more general, and they appeared in a lot of scientific disciplines, but sometimes we dealing with very specific issue. So from that, it was an idea to design, to organize something as Legal Issues Knowledge Hub. So we resolved to collect data from two parts. First, we collected data which appeared in our data management plans, which we were consulting as an Open Science Competency Center. And then we also we resolved to establish such a focus group from researchers from different scientific disciplines, represented by 3 Pomeranian universities, which are engaged in Bridge of Data project. So it's Gdańsk University of Technology, University of Gdańsk, and Gdańsk Medical University. Together, we collected 75 issues. We implemented them into the spreadsheet, and then we started to our analyze process. So at the beginning, we resolved to divide them into the 2 categories. The first one, general issues, which appeared in all scientific disciplines. And the second part was special issues, which appeared in specific disciplines such as chemistry, architecture, or civil engineering. Then we applied for the legal consultations because we couldn't resolve those issues by themselves. We are not a lawyer, so we knew that we need a special legal help. The first stage, the general one, was finished at the end of 2020, sorry, and we recognize such as issue as CC licensing there. The second stage, special issues stage, was finished in March 2021. What we got in this second state of legal consultation, it is a document contained almost 200 pages, and this study provided us with the recommendations for improving the current legal situation that concern research data sharing. And they're giving us practical solutions and practical interpretation of legal acts that might influence sharing data in an open way. So what we're doing now, the work is in progress right now. And here you can see the example of our database structure. So at the moment, me and my team, we try to put thematic code into the legal consultation document. We try to we try to code them according to the fields of science first. So for example, social science, life science, medicine, and so on. Then we try to apply scientific disciplines to that big code, such as economic for social science, management, and so on. And then we try to recognize the special issues. So for example, in economic, we already recognized that researchers, they have problem with big data, with commercial data, or for example, with sharing economic models. Of course, some of those issues, they might overlap with scientific disciplines, but that we will try to design a very user-friendly navigate for researchers. So why we think it's important to do such kind of legal knowledge hub? First of all, we think there is no such a database in Poland, in Europe, probably in the world, but I'm not really sure. So maybe if you know something, some resources like that, please provide me a link. The second reason is that there is still insufficient knowledge on the legal issues related to the data sharing between researchers. Sometimes at the university, researchers do not have time or do not have access to the legal advisor. And as working as data stewards, sometimes I do not have enough knowledge to advise them in terms of legal issues. Because the third thing, complexity of the legal issues. They are a lot of differences between scientific disciplines. Sometimes what is legal in one discipline in terms of sharing open data, it's not legal in other subjects. And of course, all the legal issues, they are element of data management plans. So we hope that the first version of our database will be available for you at the end of this year, or probably more at the beginning of 2022. One thing is that the first version definitely will be only in Polish, because at the moment our legal documents, it's available in Polish only, but in the future we will hope to translate these databases into English as well. So I hope I'm on time. And I will be very happy to take any questions after all the presentations. Here you can see email to me and my colleague Anna, and I'm waiting for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Magdalena. There are already some questions on the chat, but we can address them. You can reply either on the chat also, or can address them at the end. So let's move on to the next lightning talk on humanities. So Erzsébet, can you go ahead, please?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Eloy. I'm just going to share my screen and you will see my presentation. There we go. Switching to presentation mode. Okay. Sorry, I'm spoiling my slides away.
Okay.
So hello, everyone, and thanks for having me today. So we heard disciplinary special flavors and challenges in the previous presentation. It was a perfect blueprint in this respect, so thanks a lot. The challenge that I'm bringing to the table today is that in many cases, the dominant impact of hard sciences on open science agendas still makes it difficult or uneasy for arts and humanities scholars to translate these generic values into their everyday research practices or realities. And so reducing this implementation gap is really crucial, at least for two things. On the one hand, this is, of course, an inclusivity challenge of open science, which will only be truly open if the different disciplines are equally represented and equally served within this cultural change, right? But on the other hand, like if we think about it and if we keep in mind that open research mandates are increasingly the norm in science funding, then what is really at stake is the future well-being of arts and humanities disciplines. So it's really, really important to increase the profile of arts and humanities in this respect. And this is one of the strategic commitment of my organization, DARIAH, to change this for the better, and also to explore and nurture and even celebrate open humanistic and artistic research practices in the 21st century. So little recap here, what is DARIAH or who is DARIAH? DARIAH is a pan-European and digital research infrastructure for the arts and humanities. And I know that this notion of research infrastructure is a fairly abstract one. So you can imagine it as an organization who provides all kinds of research and teaching support for arts and humanities, and connects several hundreds of researchers with hundreds of tools and services and dozens of research facilities across Europe in currently 19 countries. So facilitating open access to resources of all kinds to make scholars' life a little bit easier has been pretty much in the DNA of DARIAH implicitly, but also explicitly. I can point you to 4 different ways in which we are exploring pathways to open humanities. So first of all, the importance of discourse spaces, it's something really important. So as examples, you can find here the DARIAH Open blog and the Open Methods platform. This latter brings together all formats of openly available digital publications, not only papers, but also preprints, blogs, video tutorials, and things like this about digital humanities tools and methods in multiple languages, because multilingualism is among the very important open values in the humanities domain. So the platform is run and curated by a wonderful editorial team of currently 27 digital humanities experts from around the globe, and they are able to read and curate content in some 20 languages altogether. Of course, training and advocacy is also an important pillar to push forward an open agenda. We are providing all kinds of offline, online, hybrid trainings, and what I personally really prefer if these trainings are integrated with our member institutions' humanities teaching curricula. So DARIAH members can request and invite open science trainings and topics to their own courses. And as the example also shows in my slide, the materials are also embedded to the discovery context of DARIAH Campus, which is our training platform. But when it comes to testing the feasibility of open research practices and harmonizing them with disciplinary traditions, then it's really important not to do the work alone, right? And to have communities around who are validating our work, who are expanding and enriching our work and spreading the work about it and fuel this kind of things. So in addition to the Open Methods team, whom I already mentioned, in early 2020, we launched the DARIAH Research Data Management Working Group. The group brings together data stewards, cultural heritage professionals, because their role is really vital in humanities data workflows, and most importantly, data champions from all major disciplines in the humanities domain. And our focus, you can see here some of them, and our focus is on everyday issues around data workflows that specifically affect the working conditions of arts and humanities scholars. And lastly, speaking of these working conditions, another way of optimizing arts and humanities research environment is to provide a strong voice for arts and humanities communities in the conversations about European and national research policies. So in addition to delivering arts and humanities perspectives to open access, open data, fair data mandates, we also care about digitization and the research assessment. The example that I put here on the slides is some feedback from our PLANES position, because PLANES is a current issue again due to its long-awaited extension to books. But speaking of books, I put here something else as well, because in this respect, based on the feedback that we hear back from scholars, is that a real big challenge here is to publish one's first monograph open access, which is typically not resulted from projects, externally funded projects that are part of PLANES and other European external research funding framework. So to at least mitigate this huge gap in open access science funding, this year we launched an open access book funding schema for first monographs in digital humanities. The application is still open, and I would like to take the chance to give you a couple of pointers, connect you with DARIAH resources and services. So the slides will be published, and you can, after the panel, you can take a look and browse them through on your own. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Erzsébet. Thank you. By the way, beautiful photo on your first slide from Porto, who also remembers that the last Open Science Fair in 2019 in the city. So nice choice of photo. So
I appreciate so much that you realize this subtle hint and nostalgia for face-to-face OSF.
Exactly. So let's move on to Tom, that will talk exactly about open access books. Tom, can you please start and share your screen?
Yes, so can you see my screen now?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So thank you very much. And I don't have a picture of Porto here, but bon dia to all. And I'm very happy that I can begin this presentation after hearing more from Erzsébet about DARIAH, the Open Humanities and the Arts, as I will be speaking more about open access books, and in particular the Open Access Books Network, which is a new initiative. As you can see here, it will be more about community-based learning, and we'll be sharing more about our journey so far the last year on how we have attempted to build a community, and in this case, a community around open access books. So you can see here the logo, and let me add that the Open Access Books Network, or OABN in short, is a free and open network for anyone interested in open access books. And it's really about sharing knowledge about open access books, building a community, and working together on the topic of open access books. And here's a link. So there we go. So let's take a little step back. So the Open Access Books Network is founded, as it lists here, by members of OAPEN, Operas, Scholar-led, and Spark Europe. And it's very much a bottom-up initiative where we noticed from our perspective for our organizations and hearing from colleagues that this is really missing, and decided to begin with this initiative, which is currently coordinated by my colleagues Lucy Barnes, who works at Open Book Publishers, Scholar-led, and the COPIM project, myself at the Directory of Open Access Books, OAPEN and COPIM, and my colleague Agatha Morka, who works at Spark Europe. I should also add that while it has been running for a year, it has all been a voluntary effort, really, thanks to the availability of our employers as well. But it has been quite an interesting ride. So first of all, why the Open Access Books Network, and why did we think this was needed and kind of missing from the current landscape? So we really wanted to create a community around open access books publishing, and everything that comes with it. As many of you here will know and probably have heard before, but I'll just repeat, is that open access books are different and are not the same as open access journals in many, many ways, in terms of the publishing process, but also how they are handled, what they are used for, the disciplinary background. So I think there's a lot behind that statement, and that also becomes clear through the network, but also to other talks held here, where it's important that we pay special attention to books, in this case open access books, as they differ from journals, and also that they are not left behind in the transition to open, because that would imply that certain scholarship might be left behind, such as in the humanities and social sciences and the arts, where book publishing is a predominant model of publishing, more so than in other disciplines. So the Open Access Books Network is a home to share ideas and ways for how we might realize open access for books, but also challenges, and ask for help. It's certainly a place to discuss. There have been quite a number of lively discussions already, often around how to realize open access for books, how to overcome certain challenges, such as funding, inclusion of third-party materials, and to make the step to the third point here, to really advance open access for books, and ideally in a not too distant future, that it could become a default mode of publishing your book for anyone who would like. So what do? We are creating a community around open access books by organizing events, blog posts, by engaging, having talks, running a discussion board, and also by contributing to the Open Access Tracking Project, which you may be familiar with, which has a specific OA Books feed, where we try to make sure that this includes all the relevant developments for OA Books that people might be interested in. Here you can see a few examples. So we've had we organize events. And in the bottom right, you'll see a bookmark session where we interviewed a nonprofit scholar-led open access publisher, in this case, Jeff Pooley from Media Studies Press, where we could hear more from his journey for his press and how they publish open access books and inspire others to do so as well. Then we also post blog posts, for instance, on the discoverability or discoverability of open access books in library systems. And this is very much open to guests' perspectives as well. So here's an example of a library perspective. And we also try to touch upon the not so easy topic of financing change. And in this case, financing change when it comes to book publishing and publishing open access books. So these are just some examples of what we currently do and how we try to bring together the community and to engage with them and to think about what we could do to advance the conversation on open access books. To date,
1 minute, please, Tom.
Sure. To date, we're running 3 series: the bookmark series, which is a open conversation about OA books, where we briefly speak for 1 hour in an interview style session and then open it up to the audience. The Open Cafe, which is a free flow conversation to talk about anything related to open access books, and the Voices from the OA Books Community series, where we tried to bring together the community around the question, what could a Plan S for OA books look like? I'll go through this a bit quickly then. So we organized 5 sessions here on, first of all, the introduction and a scope sprint. So what would we define as an open access book? We touched upon the issue of quality assurance and transparency, green open access for books, discoverability and metadata, and rights retention and licensing. And for all of these, specifically how they would relate to open access books. So through this series, we've connected over 400 participants, including publishers, funders, policymakers, researchers, librarians, and infrastructure providers, ranging from small to large organizations, for-profit, non-profit stakeholders coming from Europe, North America, and Latin America, around, in this case, the potential for open access book policies. So I'll quickly close off to say that we received great interest and willingness from the community to engage around these key topics, to talk about the challenges, gaps, and different views on solutions for open access books. And I think it became very clear by bringing together different parties that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution, meaning that this is probably just the start of a longer conversation around how we can realize a transition to open access books without excluding any of the stakeholders. Yeah, and just to close off, I think it's what we have seen. It's great to see that this has been included in, as you can see here, the recent statement by Coalition S, which recognized the Open Access Books Network as a great forum for future discussions on the needs of the open access books community when it comes to OA book policies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tom. I'm sorry, but we are already running late. I must say that I was tolerant. I give you all of you 1 minute more, so 8 minutes. But now we are running late. So without further ado, and because I was not sure that Sofia will join us, but thanks, Sofia could join us. So I invite now Sofia to take the floor and make the final lightning talk of this session.
Thank you, Eli. So I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, please.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, not on presenter mode. Yeah, now it's on presenter mode. Great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So good morning. My name is Sofia Fernandes, and my presentation will be a roadmap to collaboratively address research data management challenges. I will lead this presentation by responding to the following questions. What have we done? How has that done? And why? How was the work done? And which are the main results? We'll finalize with some considerations. So what have we done? We developed a roadmap to define our strategy regarding research data management and how we would achieve it. For that, the library created a task and finish group chaired by an academic and Plan S ambassador, Sabina Leonelli. It was comprised by a mix of different elements of professional services involved in supporting research data that regularly met through the year. Open research team based in the library, digital humanities, ethics, information and governance, research IT, legal services, clinical trials, and the doctoral college was also involved. There were external and internal drivers. External drivers are known and common in the sector as they reflect compliance with funders or ethical regulations, for example. And we are all aware that managing and sharing data facilitate productivity, quality, and visibility. As internal drivers, we were really aware of the importance of open data concerning infrastructure, services, training, and advice, and that we had a dispersed support across the university. This may be a feeling shared by many of you. A roadmap was necessary to improve our support in research data management. We identified the support that was being provided, describing each role, activities, systems, projects, and how each service collaborated. It was important to clarify specific roles and responsibilities required to support the full research lifecycle phases and workflows, especially for funded projects, and that was done using a responsibility assignment matrix framework. To improve collaboration, we needed to better understand researchers' needs. So a survey was conducted to gather suggestions and challenges. The responses were received individually and also collated by college or departments. Also, we made recommendations for tools and contacts to help researchers. Main suggestions for improvement found from the survey were mostly about training and clear guidance, then related to server space and backups, sharing and collaborative systems. Main challenges that researchers pointed were storage, archiving and security, data sharing, open data, and issues around GDPR, sensitive data, and ethics. The infographic was one of the most useful deliverables for researchers and received very positive feedback. It presents professional services support that is available for researchers in every step of the research data management lifecycle, how it's being provided and who to contact to ask for guidance, support, and training. It also includes direct contacts for researchers to contact professional services quickly and useful contacts for research data management resources for further information. The roadmap outlines the objectives, actions, and deliverables with roles, timescales, and funding information. These strategic areas are across the following activities: planning, active data infrastructure, data stewardship, and advocacy and support. The main objectives are to influence university policies by recognizing workloads relating to data stewardship, improve a research data management culture, support researchers throughout the research lifecycle, especially when submitting a project proposal and ensuring compliance with funders. Highlights for a joint approach in reviewing and delivering training and guidance, and specific support around intellectual property and ethics. To streamline and automatize workflows and improve infrastructure by reviewing the current repository and implementing a new data storage and the data preservation solution. Many of the objectives have already started, such as the collaborative reviewing, training and guidance, and others are already concluded, such as the data storage project. Implementing the roadmap is important to ensure compliance with funders, as data requirements are increasingly becoming part of funders' agendas to facilitate and support research quality and collaboration by enhancing sharing systems and fostering open data. To participate in the international movement towards recognizing data work as part of the academic work for recruitment and progression purpose, leading the way towards a research management culture, and also to improve support around intellectual property issues and open data in the middle of a digital transformation landscape. So what have we learned so far? Research support is widely spread across the university and is not fully clear for researchers, which doesn't promote good practice in research data management. And this is quite common in the sector. Research support staff needs to collaborate more. The pandemic brought many changes for all of us, but collaboration will allow us to join efforts, maximize results, and facilitate researchers' work that is being done in such challenging conditions. We need to hear researchers. Researchers mostly need training and guidance. Infrastructure, sharing systems, and open data are the main challenges. So that's what we need to focus going forward. And many thanks. I'm very happy to respond to any questions during the conference or after the conference. So I'm leaving here my contacts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sofia, and well done in 6 minutes. So 1 minute less than the available time, but unfortunately we are already running late, so we will have to end the session now. I would want to thank all the participants, and I will ask for a round of virtual applause to all the presenters on the session. And I look forward to meet you on the rest of the Open Science Fair. Just to let you know, I think you are aware of that. Now there's the demo session starting, and at 2 o'clock we will have our third keynote speaker, and it's a very important and interesting topic of research assessment and reforming research assessment in Latin America. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and looking forward to see you later. Bye bye.